All right, so welcome back to the Badlands podcast. Joined here with Brandon Roth from Roth Shocks. So thanks for cruising by, dude.
No problem.
We cruised out in the disco bus. I think it's pretty sweet.
That's fun.
So Roth Shocks, you've got a mobile shock service that you cruise around Arizona, California. Where else have you been? Is that pretty much?
Yeah, it's mainly SoCal and Arizona. We do make a few trips up to NorCal. I've got some horror stories from that. I think farthest north is I did Folsom,
Okay.
like way up there.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like I don't know if you remember, there was this big monsoon where they're like, "Oh, Sacramento's screwed. They're gonna get like 3-4 inches of rain." Yeah, I went during that time,
Perfect.
and like from day one of working to day four, just torrential downpour, like skating everywhere.
Sure.
You know, dude, the roof on that thing sucks, so it just leaks everywhere.
Yeah.
Generator would go off while I'm driving, and I have to pull over because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna catch on fire soon.
Bro.
Yeah, it's a good time.
So I think I've been following you on Instagram, and then I don't know if it was before that or when we started the forum, you joined up the forum, and I think I've just kind of been following you since that. But what I totally appreciate about what you post is it's always like the low light reel, like this, I'm working on this truck and this is all fucked, and a lot of times, like we were talking about before we started this, it's like kind of the highlight reel of these beautiful shocks and how everything's perfect, and you're very much like, no, it's not. This the prep interval on this is way out, and
Yeah, no, it's supposed to be 40 to 60,000 miles, and you're at, I'd say like average. I get dudes called and they're like, "Oh yeah, I've only got 180, 200,000 on these." I'm like, "Oh, sick! This is gonna be a fun job."
but so I guess before the shock service, like how did you? A question I always ask everybody is how did you get into off roading?
So we grew up in the dunes. I started in Dumont actually, like probably since I was like 1, 2, 3. Like my parents always took me there. We started in Glamis. Their stuff got stolen. Went to Dumont. My family was in it. My grandpa was in it. My cousins got into it. My uncles got into it. We had at the peak, we had probably like 5, 6 rigs, big circle, just all family.
Yeah.
Everyone had toys. We're all kids out there and playing.
And this is like dirt bikes or like
Quads, dirt
okay.
bikes, old Volkswagen rails. You can't really see Volkswagen guy.
Oh,
hardcore.
big Volkswagen guy. Okay.
Sadly. But yeah, just grew up in the dunes, and then like from like a super young age, probably like 4th grade up, I was just like, the teacher was like, "What are you gonna do?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna build sand rails," and it was just that until I graduated. Like even my counselors in high school were like, "What are you gonna do?" "Build sand rails." "Okay, see you next year."
Yeah.
So like all the way through there, and then I went to the Fab School.
Okay.
I don't know if you know that. But yeah, did that, and then just worked a few industry jobs. I worked at Baja Kits, worked with Brenthal, and then I switched over to aerospace.
Got it.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So that's kind of like how I got into it, and that's when I like started making like, you go from a shop making under minimum wage to like, oh, I have money now and
Sure.
I live at home with my parents.
Yeah.
Let's go crazy on Marketplace
Of
and
course.
Race Desert. Yeah. So naturally, I lowballed this dude and picked up a buggy for like 6K, 7K.
Okay.
He had it listed for like 15. Dude was clapped. It was like 3 chassis welded together, but it would go 50, 55 all through Barstow. It was the silliest thing.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. But that's kind of like how I got into off-road stuff, is just always been into it, and then slowly getting my own shitty toys.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I know now, because your build thread, you've got a Bronco. Was there any other vehicles that you had, like off-road wise, prior to other than the buggy that you're talking about?
Oh, dude, so many.
Oh, yeah?
So many. My first car was a 86 CJ7 stock with the 4-liter.
Hell yeah.
I dailied that to high school. Header dump, very loud. My my best friend, who's not my wife, our school was like quarter mile, half mile up a hill. I'd be at the stoplight at the bottom. She was like, "I hear you idling." You turn up the hill and just barely touch the gas. It sounds like a tractor. It was the funniest thing. I had that. Oh, no, I had a Bug before that.
Okay.
Let me think. I had Baja Bug, Jeep, F-150, I sold all those, got a 9 car from a dude named Ulysses. Sold that, got a joiner.
Did you do any racing in the 9 car?
No,
Okay.
it was like an empty chassis. I got a really cool picture of like, I bought it for $200 and a case of beer, and it's shoved like a 9 car, just bare chassis shoved in the back of my F-150, hanging out like 6 feet, just cruising home. My parents were like, "What are you gonna do with this?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"We're gonna build it."
Yeah.
And we got it rolling.
You're like 16, 17 at this point?
Yeah, dude, minimum wage, no money. I'm like, yeah, dude, 9 cars, super affordable.
Sure.
No. But, like, we got it rolling, which was a really cool, like, fabrication project because it was so clapped that it's like anything you do makes it better.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much my job now is, like, all the trucks I see are so bad most of the time that, like, anything I do just makes them better.
Totally. That's awesome. And then so... And you've now ended up with the Bronco. You're like thinking pre-runner, kind of like overland desert cruiser type thing.
Pre-lander.
Camp pre-lander.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's our word. I was looking for that, but I
Yeah.
can't find it.
No,
I'm new here.
Like, okay, so my pre-runner definition is like you are pre-running a race course. If
Sure.
you go out to a more race and you take mouse out
Mhm.
and it does the full race course, it comes back and you take notes, that is a pre-runner.
Agreed.
If you just go out to Lucerne and go up and down Camp Rock Road with your buddy, that's a brophy truck.
Brophy truck.
Yeah,
Okay.
old Ford Rough Rider told me that term, and I was like, whatever, that's what it is
Yeah,
now. But
yeah.
like, so I know the limitations of what the Bronco chassis can do,
Mhm.
and I know like how fast it can go if you really want to drive it like on that edge, and I just don't. I just want to like turnkey, go 35, 45 comfortably,
Mhm.
have AC, have a cooler, and put 4-ish people in there,
Mhm.
you know, and just, you know, get to the spot.
Yeah.
That's my only goal. I don't need to
Yeah.
go fast. I've done the whole go fast thing, and it's like, it's cool until you wad up and you're like, oh, this isn't fun anymore.
Correct.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
The real changing point for that was like, I was super hardcore go fast. All my shock tunes were go fast, smash it through the desert, and then we were testing out in Parker. Ran the race course one way in a Krieger 10 car. Scariest thing in my life. Like, we're doing 95 through the moon bumps in Parker. Like,
Damn.
just white knuckling and just like, okay, I've known this dude like 2 weeks.
Mhm.
We run the race course backwards, and you can see it in the video because it's all on GoPro. We come up to this rain rut, and like it's shaded perfectly on the G out, and we're just 60, 70. We see it, go into the dip, get on the brakes, and just like that, and we're just pirouetting for like probably 60 feet. Of course, we're 200, 300 feet away from camp, you know, riser up
yeah.
to stop.
Yeah, of course.
And like just go and slam in, and just the dirt and sand was so soft, it just punched me in the face, and like all this was just mashed into my helmet, and I was like, yeah, I don't need to go fast.
Yeah.
I don't need that anymore. That was
Totally.
It was literally just like done.
Yep.
Don't need to go crazy, just need to get there, have fun, and like take everyone along with me.
Yeah. No, I've been there a time or two in Metro's old race truck. I remember we were testing out in, I think I've talked about it on the podcast before, but we were testing doing runs down Barstow, Maine, and just kind of like, there's a double down section, and we just nosed in and just slammed into something, and it was like bruises on the shoulders from the belts.
Yep.
The next day. I was like, oh, that was sketchy.
Yeah.
But we were, obviously, if you're in a vehicle that can, withstand, I mean, that's what it's built for, but I agree. The cruising, having a good time with your buddies out in a vehicle that's moderately fast.
Yeah, that's where it's at. That's where it's fun.
I agree.
Like when you do a full, like the cleanup is perfect for that.
Yeah.
Like think about it. You get out there Friday night,
Mm-hmm.
hang out with your buddies. Saturday, you have the event like up until like 1 or 2.
Yep.
Everyone, it's a giant scavenger hunt where you get rewards. Like who wouldn't love that? You know? And then okay, you're done. Okay, now everyone just goes and runs around.
Totally.
You know? They come back, have a giant bonfire.
Yeah.
Like what more could you want? And usually no one breaks
Yeah.
anything because like it's pretty chill.
As long as no one runs over like a giant ball of wire. I don't know if you were out there for that
I
one.
saw that
was a
one.
cluster.
I don't think I made it that year, but I saw the Instagram stories. I was like, damn, that is awful.
Yeah, and then the wheel. Everyone's like, why don't you take the wheel off? The wheel studs. Basically, one of the lugs was stuck on, so we couldn't get the wheel off, and we tried to snap it. Okay, it won't loosen. We tried to over tighten it. No, it's just.
Yeah.
But anyways, so and now you've got so your mobile shock service is a RV. That's what you said it was
It's a old fun mover.
Okay.
So like there were early 2000s, Fun Mover and Thor made these really cool rigs for like 3 years, and they changed them to Class A's. Where like if you ever seen the Outlaws, where they're super tall, like 16 feet tall, and have that big step in the back. That's the next gen. Mine's the old gen of that, and this one, we're convinced it was an old factory Cowie Team Tedder rig because I rolled up to a job in somewhere in San Diego, and this dude rolls up and he was like, "I've seen this before." I'm like, "I don't even know this dude's name. I just know I'm working on his car today." And he was like, "You race moto?" I'm like, "No." And he's like, "Oh, my kid used to race for it was Geico Honda. His kid raced for Geico Honda in outdoors for like a season." He was like, "Yeah, this is Tedder," or something along those lines. And like the only history I know on it is like I have the Carfax because I bought it sight unseen on Copart in Texas. And I made a Facebook post on a motovan group, and one dude was like, "I owned that." And I was like, "Cool."
No way.
And like there's a few stickers on the side that say like General Engineering, Suzuki, KTM. We think it lived in like, it did 2 years down here in SoCal, got shipped over to the East Coast, and then we just have like pieces to pick up where we found road maps that went all the way from like Florida up to New York and then back down to Texas.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's got like, I wish I could know the history on that thing because like someone added a lot of money into that thing, like a lot. Like
Yeah, and it's like we just did like a little walkthrough, and it's got a full shop at the back, and that's where you're doing all your shock work out of.
Yep, that one front cabinet is the only thing those come with. Everything else was added in that. Hardwood floors, bags. Someone did the wrap. Someone did a roof. Someone did custom interior, like whole 9 yard.
Yeah,
like everything on it is money.
And
the
so
whole shop is custom too.
So you were working for you said Baja Kits in Brenthal, and then you were at that time you were doing fab school.
No, so I got out of the fab school when I was like 19 or 20, one of those. I did like 3 or 4 odd jobs there. I built elevators. I got bored of that because of travel. Went to a drift shop. Realized I'm not a good fabricator. Got let go after like a month because not a good fabricator. Went to Baja Kits. Dude, best job of my life. So much fun. One of the dudes in there was one of my groomsmen. I still talk to everyone I worked with. It was a super tight-knit group of like 5 dudes, and we had full reign over the shop. It was amazing. Then you realize you need money and benefits because you're like, oh, my back hurts some days.
Yeah.
Then I went to SpaceX, and then I built all the Merlin engines for the Falcon 9. So if you ever see them launch from Vandenberg, I want to say I still have stuff flying till like 28, 29.
Wow.
But I did the hydrostatic proof testing there. So what that is they give you this really big machine, and they tell you, hey, here's expensive rocket parts that are like $35,000, $40,000 a part. That's about the size of this. We want you to blow it up. And I just press buttons, and I watch the curves of how much pressure they lose. So we're testing parts up to 5,000 PSI with like helium and water. And my job was to get them to seal with O-rings. Kind of translates to shocks.
Yeah. But okay, so you're working for SpaceX, and then you're just got burnt on it, and you're like, I want to do something that gives me a little more freedom, or what made you want to start the shock business?
At the fab school, there was a 1-hour class where they had a dude named Dave Ashley, who was an old Ford Rough Rider. He taught us all how to build shocks, and what I mean by that is like, we had literally a king that was bent into like a fishing hook. It was crazy. And like all I remember from that is like, you take the dust cover off, you pop it off, you do that, and then you close it. That was the entire thing. So one of my buddies, we were drinking out of fire as you do, and he was like, dude, my sandrail shocks are so clapped. Can you do this? 6 beers deep. Yeah, I got this. Easy, right now, easy. No, I roasted those things. Well, like, I was like, oh yeah, I got this. And then, like, it just was not going together. And, like, what happened was I kept pressing the IFP back, and I just kept adding fluid. And I didn't know. It was my first shock I'd ever opened, and I just kept doing that. And so it just went back and back and back. And then I'm like, it's not closing. And I called one of another shock builder in Fullerton to help me out, and he saved the day. And didn't touch shocks for 6-7 months, and then I got the Bronco, and I was like, cool, my aerospace job pays for most of the parts. I need money to pay for the other parts, because
Sure.
because I got the Bronco stock, like bone stock, 100K miles. But when you start adding up, like, oh, I need coilovers, radius arms, I need a drop bracket up front, or cut and turn beams, I need an engine hoop, I need devers, I need an under the bed cage. All this stuff, just you instantly go from like, oh yeah, I'm making okay money to I need $10,000 in cash right now to build this because it's sitting in my garage. And you go to the swap meet, do what you can, you check the forms, you check Race Desert, and I was like, oh, I'll just start building shocks. So I posted on Facebook shock rebuilds for like not even cost. Like I lost money for better part of 8 months. Like if my normal price right now for a 2.5 is $195, $200, back then it was like $30, and that was like 4 years ago. So like every shock, like the seal kit is $50. You're just losing money.
Yeah.
But eventually I worked on so much stuff with the volume that I kind of went, okay, this is what an Icon's like, this is what an ADS is like, this is what a Fox is like, this is what a King is like, and it just kind of clicks and clicks and clicks. And I got to the point where there was like this 1 3-week window where I was like, I am making more money doing shocks than I am in my aerospace job. So as any smart 22-year-old does, I quit my reliable job with benefits and just went full-time with shocks. And then it snowballed and snowballed and snowballed. And then there's a few breaks in between. But what got the mobile going was I moved out to Phoenix. And I had such a big customer base in SoCal. Dudes would be like, hey, come back. I need my shocks worked on. And I'm like, okay, I'm leaving, a couple thousand on the table, just being like, no, go to these guys, go to these guys, go to these guys. Sure. And I'm like living paycheck, like less than paycheck to paycheck. I was draining savings accounts. And I loaded up my Pilot, built the stand in a night, and then cruised out to California and did my first mobile week where I did block work where it was I get Raptors only because you don't need to bring all your tools. Everything's the same size. You kind of have a blueprint. And I do 5-6 trucks in a week, drive back to Arizona for 2-3 weeks, rinse and repeat. Yeah. And at first, those were hell weeks. So like I would say the first 3 I did about 130 hours in a week. I don't even know if that's many hours in a week, but like probably 18-hour days every day. One job, like I remember this was awful. Before I had that big spring compressor I showed you, I had this little Harbor Freight, no, not Harbor Freight, Amazon. I'm better.
Safety first.
Yeah, like the big diesel ones with the big C-puck. And I was running it down with a 1/2-inch impact. And some of these Raptor springs, dude, gnarly. You got to put like 6 inches of preload in these things. And it got like right there. And it needed to go there. And it broke right there and seized. Oh, and I was like, oh, this dude needs to go to work in the morning. What do I do? And no one had them. Amazon doesn't have them. Like, no one. And I found one on Facebook, like way down in Chula Vista. Like, way down. And I met this dude at 1:30 in the morning in a Home Depot parking lot to buy this janky-ass spring compressor off him to compress a spring, like, 1/4 inch to get this dude in his truck in the morning.
Oh, my God.
And then the next one showed up, like, an hour after that guy left. And then, but that's not even, like, the gnarliest job. There's stuff where it's, like... Dude, the worst was I did one in San Diego, and then I drove all the way up to Salinas, California. So it was about 36 hours straight of just working and driving in shocks. And then that dude had a spacer on his truck, and when you put a spacer on Raptors, it's not like a Tacoma. They get really angry at you, and they hyperextend and start breaking stuff very easily. Because, it's like imagine bending your elbow backwards. Yes. And we were like, damn, what are we going to do? So, we're in Salinas. And I'm like, oh, dude, there's springs up in Sacramento. I'll start just driving up there. I'll hit this dude up on Facebook. We get good amount of the way up there, just ghost me. And I'm like, okay, got to turn around.
Yeah.
Get back down to this dude's
And this
place.
isn't the pilot?
Yeah, this isn't the pilot. So all my tools...
Because you're going above and beyond for these customers here.
Well, I just want to build... Like, here's my logic. Like, I get pissed a lot of times at trucks. But then I have to take a breath and be like, I'm getting paid to work on someone's truck in their driveway, and they give me beer and food, and I'm their best friend for 9-10 hours. I'm like, I'd be doing this for free if I wasn't getting paid for this. So I'm like... You know, if it's like, if you're calling me, you're my homie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go and we're going to get it done. Like,
yeah.
You need to go to work. And this dude was a little different. This guy owned a lettuce farm up in Salinas. And I was like, oh, how many acres? And he was like, oh, 500. I was like, oh.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, just casual. And his shop was massive, dude. Like, crazy big. Like, easily 3,000 square foot shop.
Dang.
Fully insulated AC, bar, Class A diesel pusher, boat, 12 car. What else did he have? He had so much cool stuff. 2 Raptors. Dude probably had a plane in the back that I just didn't see. And
it's a crop duster?
Something like that. Something crazy like that. But yeah, that job was so much fun.
So that's wild. So you're and this is, how long have you been doing this as far as like the mobile?
The mobile. I've been doing mobile. I think we just hit, let's see, I've been married almost a year and a half, and I quit my other aerospace job at Northrop Grumman right after I got married. Great idea. The wives loved that. And I went, I'm going full-time with Shocks, and my wife was amazing and supported me. And I did those SoCal trips for a year in the pilot. And then I found that on Copart on our 1-year anniversary when I was supposed to be...
Babe, I think I found the one.
Yeah. Because, like, I checked out other ones. So, like,
yeah.
There was one before that was really, really cool. And it was a E3 Bros KTM, like, factory rig. And the guy was super chill. He wanted, like, $20K for it. But it was that, but, like, a box truck. Like, it shouted old school early 2000s motocross cool, and I was in love with it. It had a big 7.3. It just had one couch. It had a little mini fridge, and the back was like this little janky shop. But what this dude did is he was like the product guy for E3. So like he ran their R&D department or something like that, and he built this rig to support his kids racing. And he, once his kids like got to amateur fast, you know, we have a Sprinter van level, he took, I think he had 10 to 12 50 and 65cc KTMs, and he would take all these like, not underprivileged, but like their parents weren't into bikes kind of kids, all out to Glen Helen in this thing, and he would be the full race manager for these kids and let them run around for free all day.
Wow, that's right.
Super cool dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's badass.
No, yeah. The dude was so cool. I wish I would have bought that thing just because it was cool. And then, I don't know if you watched, I mean, that's a dumb question. You've seen Dust to Glory.
Yeah.
I was doing a job in Irvine. Random dude I met. You know, meeting strangers online. That's what we do.
Yeah.
And we come and visit them and say hi. And I was working on his Gen 2, and he was like, oh, do you like bikes? And I was like, yeah, this isn't the pilot still before I had this. And I walk inside, and he's like, oh, I got a few bikes. And he's got these 2, like, $30,000 to $50,000 KTM rally rigs sitting next to each other. And I'm like, just like drooling over these bikes. But the coolest part was to the left of those bikes was Johnny Campbell's old factory Honda rig with the OG graphics on it.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
Dude, 7.3, full box truck, like 21 feet long. Inside is mint. Like, it makes that thing look like a tweaker built it. It's crazy how nice this thing is. And I was like, dude, what is this? And he was, oh, I just bought that off. I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. And turns out he's a score official and the most humble dude you'll ever meet, but he's won more championships than I can count. And like every single one of his employees came out and no one said anything bad. They were just like, it was cool because I got little bits and pieces. They're like, oh, so how do you know Andy? I'm like, oh, I worked on his Raptor. He just called me. And he was like, oh, you know, he used to race bikes? And I was like, no. How long did he race bikes for? And he was like, oh, so like once he turned 50 to about 65, he held the red plate at District 38 down in San Diego, whatever that district is down there. And more and more dudes came out. And just like little bits and pieces are like, oh yeah, he used to race for blah 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 back in like North LA, you know, factory race teams, like all this crazy stuff. You're like, no way, this dude is not this guy.
Yeah.
And then the last dude came out, and he was like, oh yeah, see that person over there? That's his wife. I'm like, okay. And he was like, he just made him throw away about 300 trophies. I'm like, he has 300 trophies. Like, it was only half. I'm like, only half?
Damn, dude.
Yeah, and, you know, get to talking to the dude. It was the coolest thing, because I was having a super shitty day, because this one other customer had to cancel the job, just because, like, I literally go off vibes. Like, if I just don't feel like we're bonding or vibing, I don't want to spend
smart
24 to 36 hours with you. And I was just like bummed, and you can kind of tell. And it somehow ended up where it was like nighttime. I'm working on this dude's truck, and I have Dust to Glory playing because I'm like, oh, whatever. And he was like, oh, that's me in the helicopter right there. I'm like, what the fuck? Who
Holy
are
shit,
you? And
dude,
then
that's so cool.
He explains it, and he's telling me all these stories about him getting like bitched at with Roger Norman and Robbie Gordon and all these guys. And he was actually the guy that invented VCPs for Score.
Really?
Just, craziest dude. And it's just random job on a Tuesday.
And so how are you getting these people? Just word of mouth, or how are these guys finding you?
So I do direct marketing on certain platforms. So like most of my stuff for a while, I'd have to advertise on like Instagram. And then I'd always put like an ad on Race Desert or Bad Lines Good Times. And, you know, you have to pay when you're on Race Desert. So I'm throwing $150 a month at this thing. And like, I'd only ever get one job. But the jobs I'd get off the forums were the best people.
Sure.
Like, one dude down in San Diego, Gil, the most chill, laid-back surfer, mountain biking dude you can imagine. Just picked up a rail. His wife hated it. It was way too stiff. And we ended up spending like all day together. We sat around for like 3.5 hours after, just drinking beer and bullshitting. And he invited me out to a trip out in Glamis, a boys trip. First time out in Glamis. Dude, so much fun. Little J35 rail with a Pro Charger and a 2D. Bulletproof combo. This little light car. I remember we were coming back from the drags going to Pad 4, and like I've known Gil for about 36 hours. And we do a rip, car's feeling good, you know, we're testing and tuning. That's what I do. I'm just out there. I can't just be like, oh, I'm going to sit around and drink. I'm going to play with your car.
Yeah.
And I could tell he was close, and I'd been coaching him all day. I'm like, okay, your car wants this. I could tell, like, you can just tell, like, after a while, I'm just barely getting to the point where I'm like, okay, you need to change this and this, and like little baby steps.
And are you doing the work for him, or are you like showing him how to adjust it?
No, I'm doing the work, but I'm like, I'll teach him. You know, it's not rocket science.
Sure.
We're just moving a screw in and out.
Yeah.
But like, I'm just like, hey, like, think of it this way: if you have 3 different sand rails, 3 different dudes are going to take 3 different lines up the same hill and come down 3 different ways, and they're going to power out 3 different ways. So there was one car that was tuned by a guy in Glamis. This guy loved this car. It was super fast. Gil wanted his car to work like that car. First ride out, I watched this guy go up a hill, come down, night and day difference from what Gil was doing. Gil would roll up to the bottom of a hill, kind of cruise into the G-out, you know, because he was scared. The audible sound of your skid plate going, he'd back it off to 80%. If you didn't get the skid plate to touch, he would just go and just power up the hill, stand on it in second, front tires. If the front was at droop, he was stoked, so happy. And he'd go up to the crest, rip the handbrake, point it down, stand on the gas, and then when he gets to the bottom, what he would do is he would get on the brakes and it would transfer energy to the front, and then you'd roll in, and then he'd kind of go, oh no, and then let off, and then it'd hit down, and then he'd back off. So like that, just a totally different driving style. So I was tuning it for that.
Sure.
And on the way back from the drags, he's already night and day difference from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. He's stoked. And I'm like, oh, we're just going to take a chill, cruise back in third. This dude was on the chip in second gear going about 70 for the better part of 90 seconds. And like, we're spinning 8,000 RPMs in a Pro Charge Honda. Dude, it was the craziest thing. Because the front just stayed up and just, I'm like, it got to the point where I'm like, are you going to shift? Dude, shift, please. You're going to blow it. And just, just all up and down pad 4. I was like, that was the craziest.
That's not
and it's just because, like, it was stuff where I'm like, the car shouldn't do this. Like, he shouldn't hit this. But he was just like, it was like a flow state for him where he just didn't even hear it on the chip. Just just through everything. And I was like, that's wild. But,
yeah.
You know, guy off the forms.
But so you're, with your tuning, that's a question I wanted to ask you. So it's like, if you've got the 3 different sand rails, well, let's say it's the 3 same sand rails. I mean, I would imagine valving wise, you're kind of, okay, you know, kind of the baseline tune that you need to put in them based off of weight, you know, what shocks are on it, like spring rate and all that. And then you tune it to the driving style and comfort level. Is that how that works?
Kind of. So like, there's like 2 different schools of like shock tuning. There's guys that are very smart and way smarter than me, and they have all these equations and math and science, and they have scales, and they have all this crazy stuff. And my thought process is kind of like, everything's decently close, unless it's like way off, and I'll tell you straight up. I'm like, dude, your springs are 300 pounds off. But everything's usually 80% of the way there, in my experience with my job. It's 80% of the way there, and then I'm getting it the extra 10%, and then if we want to chase that other 10%, 5% of that is driver training, and then 5% of that is valving. So like, if we put me and Mouse, and we put you and Mouse, and then we put Rob Mack and Mouse, you're going to like it soft and heavy, you know, loaded down, where it just kind of floats through everything. I'm probably going to like it a little bit different, where I like the front of my cars to pop and the back to not really feel anything, you know, kind of standard. And then if we put Rob Mack in it, piss missile, stiff. The dude can feel the difference between a 12 thou and a 10 thou shim probably. So it's like, everyone's different, and you just kind of got to figure out what that guy wants.
What they're using the car for, and going from there.
Like, you know, like with your 4Runner, like, one dude can buy it, and all he does is him and his dog, and he just wants to go out on fire routes. One dude can buy it, he wants to take 3 dudes up Chocolate Thunder, you know, and then another dude can buy it, and they want to go kind of fast through a race course. It's the same car at the end of the day, it's just like, there's so many different options, and like every single one of those scenarios could be different springs, different valving. And then like, you know, even I can give you a softer car with heavier valving and it's easier to drive, or I can give you a stiffer car with lighter valving and it's a little bit harder to drive, but you can go a little bit faster. So it's kind of just, you got to really talk to the dude and be like, what do you want to do with this? Because so many dudes nowadays are like, I bought this truck, it's $90,000. I'm going to drive it to work. And I'm like, okay, so you going through like Barstow, Maine, or the 91 or the 405? Most of the time it's like, okay, I don't like the 5 through this section, or if they're going on an overpass and there's little bumps in it, the car will unsettle, you know, and they don't like that one section. So it's like, okay, we just need to fix that one thing, and that one thing to them could be like night and day, you know, and it's just flipping 2 shims.
And it's, so, again, it just, I mean, I haven't had you service my vehicles, but it's like, if I'm like, hey, Brandon, you know, this is what I do with my truck, I'm doing camping trips with my dog, I want it to be, it's a little too stiff, you're like, okay, cool, and then you kind of base it off of that.
You got to talk to the people and figure it out. And like, the cool thing is, like, everyone's a shock builder. Like, so many people are shock builders now just because it's like, it's not, like I said, it's not rocket science. But everyone tunes it a different way.
Sure.
Like, there's, like, the really, really good guys, I can open their stuff and be like, oh, I would have never thought of that. And then there are guys that are really, really bad, and I'm like, I get the idea that you had in your head where this would work. Like, if you look at, like, really old cars, like 1920s, they used to do rebound control only, and it was no compression, and they'd have a leather strap that would pull on a spring, and that would control your rebound, because you just didn't want compression and friction, all that stuff. And it's like, okay, I see a lot of dudes where they'll pull a lot of compression, throw a lot of rebound, because if you're like, okay, what does a Rolls Royce do? Well, you think of it rides like a cloud. Well, if it's a cloud, there's no compression loading up the chassis, and the rebound isn't super fast and isn't super slow. But if you go too slow on rebound, the car will do this thing called jacking, where it will suck down to the road, and it'll feel like you added too much compression.
Got it.
So everyone has a different flavor. It's like craft beer, essentially. Like, oh, this tastes great. Okay, well, that sucks. I like this one, you know. Everyone does their own different thing.
Sure. But at the end of the day, it's important what your customer wants. And then I was going to ask, how often is it like you get the dude that's like, I want to be able to go 900 miles an hour down Barstow, Maine. You valve it so you can go fast, and then he's like, I don't like that. Does that happen? It's too rough.
No, usually I can talk dudes out of that.
Got it.
Usually, like, I would say 90% of my customers are, my truck is too stiff, or it's uncontrolled and too soft.
Got it.
And when it's uncontrolled and too soft, the shocks are blown. When they're working good and it's too stiff, that's the general majority. Like, if you ever see a Carly truck, they kick ass off-road. Most people buying them aren't beating them off-road. They're towing their toy hauler with their kids in it, and they just want a really cool lift with Kings, which I get. You know, it's sick. You can make them work so good. But, like, most of those guys, like, I just want it soft. I'm like, okay, we can make it soft. Yeah. You know, no one's really ever like, it's too soft. It's always like, this rattles my teeth and the bed's vibrating. You know, and that's just valving, because think, King has to make, King, Fox, whoever you pick, they have to make something that everyone can drive. You know, if you go out and bought new shocks for your Tundra, and you took it out and you're like, oh, I'm really good at this, and you put your wife in it, and she's like, oh, this is terrible, and she crashes it, you know, it's not good. They need a product that everyone can buy, because it's really dumb if you make a product that only fits, like, 1% of the population. You want everyone to have this.
That makes sense. And so with your, so when you went to the mobile model versus opening up a shop, you're just going off of the conversation here, it was mobile was like, hey, I've got customers here in California and I'm in Arizona, and you kind of saw an opportunity there to being mobile is a nice service where you just show up at somebody's house. Is that kind of the mindset there?
Yeah. So it used to be like think about it. If you need to get something on one of your cars fixed, you have to take a day. If you have a normal job and you're not like a homeless bum like me who just does whatever he wants, you have to take a day off of work. Pretend you're a blue collar guy. You wake up at 4, most guys get to work at 5. You get off at 5. You just work 12 hours of hard labor. You don't have time in the morning to take your truck somewhere. You don't have time in the afternoon to take your truck somewhere. You can't have your truck down for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days, you know. It's super inconvenient for so many people, where I was just like, if I just show up to their house, they can either just hitch a ride with their buddy for the day and the truck's done when they get back from work, or I just show up to their work. Like, the job on Thursday was at some dude's work, Friday was at some dude's work, and his job got canceled, so it ended up just being like me, him, and like 6 other dudes just hanging out all day and just talking about trucks. And, you know, it's just it's weird how it works, where it went from it was cool. It went from like, when it was just like Roth Shock Services is just like my logo, and they're like, oh yeah, I want this company to work on my stuff. I just go out. I wouldn't really see the customer. I'd see them for 10 minutes in the morning. They hand me a wheel key and the keys. And then I see them in the afternoon, and I'm like, okay, truck's done. Do a test drive. Bye. Now it's like, dudes are like, oh, I took the day off. Let's hang out and like start day drinking. And I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna say no.
Yeah.
You know, so it's cool how it shifted from, you know, just like, oh yeah, I'm just the service, just like, oh, I'm the guy. We're gonna hang out and have a good time. And like, I'm friends with all of my customers. You know.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, like we'll hang out outside of like shock stuff. But it's kind of funny. I don't know anyone's name, like, at all. Like, I'm so bad about it.
You're like your second-gen Raptor guy that lives here.
Yeah. No, I
remember your shocks were fucked.
Yep. I was thinking, so, like, driving into here, I was like, I've been out here before. And I know I've been out here. And then I saw the rocks and, like, a house on the side. Just, like, it clicked something in my memory. Or I was like, oh, yeah, I did a white Gen 2 that had live valve shocks and iBox springs, and the dude had stock springs all around, and he worked for Kevin Thompson. No, he didn't work for Kevin Thompson. He helped out a trophy truck team. He's a general contractor, and he used to do FMX stuff with Metal Militia. Don't know his name. There's another dude a little bit out past the airport that way. He's got a black extra cab Gen 1 and a small little community. He just bought a new Harley. He works at Universal Studios, and he rebuilds the King shocks on the rides at Universal Studios, and I was teaching him how to rebuild them correctly on his truck.
I heard about, so Universal Studios, or maybe it's Disneyland too, they use King shocks on the rides. I think we were at Bent Motorsports, and they were talking about that when we did their podcast. I was like, what?
Yeah. So, like,
that's wild.
I don't know his name.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know one's name.
So this dude rebuilds shocks for a living, but he's...
Well, he's the general maintenance guy. They're just like, this is part of your job.
Sure.
And they, you know, it's not, like, if you're general maintenance on, like, roller coasters, you can figure out how to build a hydraulic cylinder.
Yeah.
You know, you pretty much got to make it seal, and, like, they're not worried about service life like I have to be, because I'm like, I don't want this stuff to blow out in 2 months. They're just like, whatever, pull this one off the shelf, put it on there, you know? But, like, I don't know his name.
That's funny. So you're like full Rain Man except for the name part.
Yes. Yeah.
That's great.
I can tell you, like, most of my customers' trucks down to, like, the last little stupid detail. Can't tell you their names.
Hey, you guy.
Yeah.
First human.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, hey, man, what's up? And then, like, what works great is, like, if I'm out somewhere in public and I get recognized, I'll be like, oh, hey, man, what's up? And I'll be like, oh, this is my wife, Bailey. And then she'll introduce herself, and then they'll say their name and be like, that's the guy. He's not just gray Gen 2 that I want.
I love it. And so, on the truck, so you're the mobile vessel, do you just stock... I mean, I guess going out to, if you're doing a Raptor week, you just know, hey, I'm doing this many trucks, I'm going to need this many. These are the potential fail parts. I mean, I'm sure at this point you've kind of figured out what you're going to need. Because I'm sure it's like, oh, it just needs a revalve or it needs seals, and they're not accounting for the uniballs are probably smoked and the shock eyelets. And then I was going to ask too, like, how often do you pull something apart? And, you know, like we were just talking about my Tundra, it's like, let's say, oh, hey, I just need my shock serviced, but it's got a weird clunk in the front end. And it's like, oh, it's always a can of worms. I'm sure most of the time.
Every time. Everyone's truck is super clapped beyond belief. And I tell 80% of my customers, I'm like, dude, you made it here by prayer. Like, even the nicest trucks that you see, where you're like, this is an amazing build, it's beautiful, it's all over Instagram.
Sure.
And I'm like, your uniball was about to pop out, and you're going to chow yourself into a K-rail.
But so do you just have this kind of the standard uniballs with you, and then you're like, yo, you know, hey, this is messed up too, do you want me to do it while I have it all apart type of thing?
So, like, I have before it was just like, I'd get there and I'd just like, okay, I'm driving, you know, if I'm at a job and the truck's on jack stands, my realistic limit is like, I'll do 60, 70, 80 miles one way to get you a part that you need to get your truck back together. Because I'm like, I get 6 hours, I get 10 to 12 hours to make this truck last for 4.5 years, realistically. So it's like, I can suck it up and drive somewhere. Like I said before, it used to be just like, I don't know what to do, panic, 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 and now it's like, the dude tomorrow is a Gen 1 Raptor with iBox springs and, Devers and geysers, and I kind of asked, like, okay, how many miles do you have? When was the last time shocks were rebuilt? What, X, Y, Z. And I can go, okay, here's what we might need, here's where we can get it, and I kind of have that planned out in my head. The nice thing is, like, I do mainly OE stuff. So, like, Tundras, F-150s, Silverados, Tacomas, basic stuff. I can usually go, hey, you need this. I'm going to go to O'Reilly's.
Mm-hmm.
Give me your account number. I'll put it on your account so you have the warranty. In which I do that a lot. Like, if I get a Raptor dude and they're running leveling spacer and it hyperextends everything and blows out a CV, I'll go, hey, I have these part numbers. Here's an O'Reilly's warehouse 45 minutes away. I can get it or you can get it. If you put it on your account number, you get the lifetime warranty for that. So if you ever blow out this boot again, I can just go and pop it out in 30 seconds and we get you a new one and chuck it in. So it's a little bit down to a system, and like, as the company, me, whatever you want to call it, has like a little bit more money to, not a lot. I have like $5,000 in my savings account to like play with. I can carry a little bit more inventory. Like,
Sure.
Tacomas and Tundras, the geometry on them is great. The trucks ride amazing. They eat uniballs like crazy, dude. Like, I have Tacomas where, like, if a uniball has like a little bit of play, where, like, where you get somewhere, you're like, oh, that's loose, it's a little, like, the Teflon's gone.
Mm-hmm.
You know that feel.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that
Yeah.
feel. Well, I get dudes where I'm like, oh, the eyelet has half an inch play up and down.
Oh, buddy.
And I'm like, cool. So I have I don't know if you saw a little box under my tray. That's just random shock parts that I've collected over 4.5, 5 years, where I'm like, look, this isn't great. I will give it to you for free. It is a Band-Aid. We're going to fix this, but now your truck's drivable. So it's a lot of Band-Aids where we will order the right parts and do it right, and it'll come back and just fix it in an hour.
Sure.
It's mainly just like, how can I make this as solid as possible with what I am given and like what I have in the truck? Like, if I don't have tools, I'll go buy them, whatever. It's part of the job. But it's mainly just like, what can we do to give the guy the peace of mind to take his kit? Like, think, like, if you have a mechanic, you don't think like, oh, this dude's not going to put my stuff back together correctly. He's not going to put this part on wrong. You're like, I'm going to drop this off to you. I trust you. I'm putting my kids in this, my wife in this. Literally everything I care about is in this truck. You want them to do it right.
Yeah.
And, like, the nice thing is, like, with mobile, like, I can literally be like, hey, come outside. And I can go, this is clapped. You should not be driving this truck. And usually they're like, okay, whatever, let's get it done. And a lot of times customers will like go and take a second car and go get parts. Like, we had this one job out in Phoenix. This dude was like in the middle of Phoenix and he was missing these two little spacer shims on Gen 1 only. Not F-150s, just Gen 1s. And he had to drive 70 miles one way to get these two shims just to make sure his top had aligned correctly. And it was just like, I was like, look, we could run it without it, but if it breaks, you're going to have a really bad time.
Yeah.
And it's cheaper just to do it right the first time, even if it's a little bit of an inconvenience, because, like, you don't want to be driving on the freeway and have your tire pass,
Sure.
It's one of those things.
Yes. Well, and I think it's like your customers, like you said, it's like a total vibe thing. So you're building that rapport with them kind of even before you start the job, where you're like, hey, dude, like, I'm a straight shooter. I'm not trying to rip you off, but like, you could physically see this is not what you want.
And that's kind of like why I like the mobile thing. It's like, I can be like, look, this is bad, versus, if you get a text from someone, you just got to take, like, 99% of these dudes in this industry are legit. Everyone that's got a shop, mostly everyone that has a shop, is like someone who came from like nothing, is willing to give up everything. Like, I literally almost went bankrupt twice doing this. there was a time driving from Phoenix to California where I was going down the pass from Scirocco Summit into Palm Springs, where I was draining, like emptying a 401k to get gas to go work on trucks. Because I was like, I am all in on this. Because it's the only job I've never quit.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked 18 different jobs. This is the only one where I haven't been like, okay, I'm done. I'm going to go do something else. So it's like everyone in this industry, if you want to make it, you need that drive where it's like, I am committed to this. And like most guys are going to be really cool. There's going to be 1% of people that ruin it for everyone where they're like, oh yeah, you need this, this, and this. And you're like, why is my bill supposed to be $300 and now it's $1,300, you know?
Yeah. No, and then, I mean, obviously that kind of, you're going to get the word of mouth and, you know, referrals from being an honest dude and being like, hey, you know, I've got this, you know, okay-ish uniball that we could slap in and this is going to get you going. And I also have this new one that you should buy, but if you don't have the money, I get it. We can put this one in and, you know, that goes further than putting the truck back together with some blown out garbage.
Yeah, and like the guys that are like really, they're not great at their jobs, they don't stick around too long. They usually go back and do something else. Like I had this one kid roll up in a 2010 Raptor with a 5.4. He was 21. Dude, not even 20. I don't even think he could drink. He a little Mexican kid. Had a wife, had a kid. The truck was awful, dude. Like, it looked like it was just left in the ocean for, like, 3 weeks, and they pulled it out. Like, his bump stops, like, Fox uses very good bump stops on their trucks. His were literally disintegrated. And I'm like, where'd you get this? And he's like, Miami. And I'm like, oh. And I'm like, so how much you get it for? Because I'd like to know that information. And he was like, oh, I bought it for $30K with, like, a 22% interest rate.
You're just like, brother.
And I was like, dude, that's so bad. And I was looking at his shocks, and I was like, we need new shocks. And then I just, like, I don't remember how it worked out, but I just ended up giving him, like, new shocks. And I was like, look, I'm not charging you full price for these. Just pay me for the rebuild. These are yours. And then I think his old shocks just got parted out, and they're sitting in that bin. But it's, like, just stuff like that where I'm like, I literally cannot put this truck back together with what you have brought me. Yeah. I don't know how you made it here. Or, like, the really funny ones are, like, dudes when I test drive their trucks. And there was this one where it was a Gen 1 on spacers. I was going up this hill, and it was a slight right turn, and the road's kind of choppy, and I use it to test, like, low-speed bleed and stuff like that and get a feel of, like, what the truck's doing. It physically hopped me without moving the wheel like this into the next lane within 50 feet.
Oh, shit.
I was like, oh, dude, you should not be driving this. And he's like, I've had it for 10,000 miles like this. I'm like, dude, that's not safe. Yeah.
That's sketch.
It's like, I don't get how, like, some dudes put stuff together and they're like, whatever, invoice, the dude's out. It's just, it's scary to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I get super bad anxiety when I build trucks. Like,
totally.
Everything has to be, like, perfect. Like, every truck like, even the truck today, like, even though I'm here, I'm still thinking about, like, okay, did I really torque that, you know, upper control arm to spindle nut? And I'm like, yes, I did. But was the Loctite badge good? Okay, yes, it is. But it's, like, just that little thing that, like, eats at you. Yeah. And, like, the next truck, I'll forget about it. But it's, like, you kind of need that to be good in this industry.
Absolutely.
Like,
I mean, you want to make sure you're doing a good job.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And you can see it with fabricators, too. Like, the dudes who are, like, really... Like, I'll look at some trucks, I'm like, oh, this is art. And it's just some shop, the dude's building it out of, like, the side of a mobile home. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, this is crazy. How does this dude not have a shop and charge $195 an hour? And it's just, like, money work. Like, dimes everywhere. Like, everything's gusseted perfectly, no dead tubes. I'm like, this is wild. And then I'll see some big shops, and I'm like, dude, how much did you pay to install this? And they're like, oh, 10 G's.
Yeah, you're just like, yikes. But, and so, so you said you do mostly Raptors, Tacomas, Tundras, Silverados. That's kind of, so you try to stick with that. So are you doing, like, pre-runners that are, you know, built desert trucks, or is it mostly kind of more on the stock end, or kind of everything all over?
It depends on the time of the year. I kind of just take what I'm given. I'm not going to turn down a guy if he wants to come to me. I'm like, oh, that's super sick. This guy went out of his way to reach out to me because I think I'm pretty retarded, if we're being honest.
Yeah, you and me both, brother.
Yeah, and
so we're here, internet friends.
Yeah, and like when someone like hits me up, I'm like, I'll take whatever job I'm given.
Yeah.
Usually, like if you want to think desert season, end of September, October, it starts to cool down to about April. Is when, not even April, to like, at least for me, February. It's just all gas, no brakes, side-by-sides, pre-runners, like everything.
I forgot about side-by-sides.
Yeah, those guys exist too
golf
sometimes.
Golf cart guys?
Yeah, golf carts. Those guys just come in swarms. Usually, like, about 1 or 2 weeks before a major holiday, swamped. Everyone in the industry is swamped. And then, like, it dies down and picks up. And, like, in the summertime, I'll shift my focus more to OE, where it's like, oh, you're towing your boat out to Havasu. You're really going to be the dude there with leaky shocks, you know?
Sure.
You have the $100,000 DC, I mean, now it's like $400,000 DCB boat. You have a brand new Super Duty, and your shocks are leaking, and you're driving down the highway, and you're doing this, like...
Yeah, it's not cool, bro.
No, it's not cool. It's not cool when you're I hate when you have to like steer something. I know it sounds dumb, but like, you know, when you're driving the RV and there's a big wind, and you're like, I am wheeling this thing right now.
Yeah.
Like
it's when you're my life right there.
Yeah, when you're just driving and you're just like, I am putting way too much effort. That's when I'm like, okay, just rebuild the shocks, dude.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you get that, you're just like, oh, pinky.
Yeah.
Oh look, I could watch a movie.
Sounds like you sound like you're describing all of my vehicles that I own. They're just a handful.
Oh, dude, there's so many times where I'll be on the phone when I'm driving and I come down through Palm Springs and I'm like, 1 second, I'm really wheeling this thing right now. And like, it feels like I'm three-wheeling like this. And like, you know when you're in the RV and you go under an overpass and then like the wind stops and you're like, cool. And then it picks up again and just shucks you into the next lane. You're like, sorry.
And you're just like, got it cut. You got it resting on your knee. You're getting tired.
No, dude, I love that. It's so much like the RV is slow. You know, I go 55, 60 everywhere, but it's like so much fun to drive.
Yeah.
And it's just
you got to pay attention.
You have to think, but it's like I mean, dude, it's got giant unequal like beams on it with super soft springs and airbags in the rear. It works so good.
It's a Caddy. It's like your Bentley or your Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
Cloud.
Yep. And I got old school captain's chairs.
Oh,
dude,
yeah.
So my wife hates them because like mine's conformed to my ass, where I sit at like the perfect rake for my knees. Because that's the thing you don't think about is like if your butt is higher than your knees, like even that much, it's too much.
Mm-hmm.
If you're like this, it can be too much, but you get your spine loaded up more, so you feel the G's on the vehicle more. So, like, my seat is perfect where I can cruise just, like, one hand like this. But hers isn't broken in, so it kicks forward at, like, 1 degree so you feel like you're falling out of the chair.
Is it got, like, the Flex Steel seats in it? Isn't that, like, a Fleetwood product?
No, so it's, like, these super custom trick captain's chairs.
Okay.
Where it's, like, a full recliner. So you can... They pivot 360 and you can lay them down and like make it into another bed if you wanted to. But dual armrest, like 90s Econoline, like cushy chairs. I love them so much. Yeah. Like the best seats I've ever had.
It sounds like it's got its own valving. It's just
It honestly does, dude. It makes such a huge difference because I'll ride in some customers' trucks and they have like almost a hard shell, and I'm like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Like, why do you have a composite seat?
Leave the shocks, bud. You just need a new seat.
Yeah, dude. Or, like, the best is, like, I'll get dudes, and they'll come in, and they'll be like, my truck's stiff. And I'm like, I'll go through, and I'm like, okay, what's the nitrogen at? Okay, nitrogen, good. What's the tire pressure at? Oh, you're running 80 PSI in a 1500. Okay, let's drop that down to 45 and see what it does.
Oh, you're a genius.
Yeah, and I'm like, why'd you do that? And they're like, oh, well, I saw on the forums. I'm like, that's all I needed. Yeah. It's like, it's crazy how like there's really good forums and then there's just like the dumbest shit you've ever heard.
Yeah. No, and I feel like with the Bad Lines forum, it's like, I don't want to say we've weeded it out, but it's like, okay, you have like a Tacoma forum or like a Raptor forum. Most of the time that's like a brand new person that just got that truck Whereas the Bad Lines forum, maybe could be somebody that's like pretty new to the sport, or this off-road pre-lander mountain bike scene. But it's most of the time it's like they're kind of have been in the game for a bit. So you skip the 37s fit on my Tacoma with no lift. We're kind of skipping that demographic.
They're seasoned. Yeah,
a little bit. I mean, you still get some retardation like myself on there, but it's more people that have been in the game a little longer, I guess.
And I think the nice thing about I use forums almost every day. Like even if it is an OE forum where I'm looking up torque specs, there's some good info, but it's like usually the people on there are like the kind where it's like OE knows best, versus like when I go on Badlands Good Times, I'm like, these are dudes that have experience with forums. They know how to post, they know how to talk, they know what pictures to put, and it's like it's cool because like you were like, oh yeah, Mouse. I'm like, I know that name. I don't know the truck. And then you sent me the link, and I just sat there in bed, and I went through like 75% of it in like an hour, and I have your entire history on the truck. I can see individual welds, and I'm like, okay, well, he broke this. I don't need to do that. This is the fix. You can kind of go through and get all the good info expedited. Yeah. In a sense.
Totally.
And like to me, it's like there's so much like quick stuff now where it's like if you have a problem on the Tundra, you go on Facebook on a Tundra group and you're like, hey, I need this. There are 100 responses of just people saying every single way that's not the right way versus you go on the forums, you're like, oh, this guy had my problem. He broke these wheel studs, this upper, this ball joint. Oh, here's the part number he used. Oh, here's how he installed it. Oh, here's the 10 months later. Yeah. He's still using the same part and it's fresh. Okay, I know that's going to work.
Exactly.
Versus you're not buying 3 times,
Well, and you're getting, even if you, before I got the Tundra, I was on Tacoma World, and it's like, it's solid form. There's a lot of great people on there, but you post something up, and, people will kind of flame you, and you're like, dude, I searched first. That's always the,
you gotta search.
Did you search? Okay, bar. Yeah, I searched, and I didn't see it, and this is why I'm asking this question, but so many people are just want to get a comment, and it's like, which I'm grateful our forum at this point is small enough that we don't have that yet, where it's you only have a few degens that are chirping people about stupid stuff. You've got your Gorts and a few.
They're everywhere, but like the forum's great because like I know a few of those dudes on the forum. And I just block them. Yeah. And I'm just like, I'll scroll through and I'll be like, oh, it's like this message is hidden. Or I'll be like, it's that idiot. Okay, I didn't need to see that anyway. Yeah. Perfect. It just weeds it out. And it's like, the cool thing is like, there's so much with the Badlands Good Times forum is like, it's great because almost every vehicle on there is unique in its own sense versus like, Tacoma World F-150 Raptor forum. It's the same truck, the same blueprint, the same everything, the same question 30 times. But, like, if I'm, in my mind, like, okay, I'm going to build an Explorer, I can pick 13 different builds, go through and see every little detail, most of the time, of what this dude did versus this dude versus this dude versus this dude. And I can go, okay, I like this. Sure. And everyone's chill, because they're all talk to each other. Yep. It's like in the shock world, too. Like, guys, like, I'm not the Raptor guy. I don't think of myself as like, oh, I'm the specialist in any of these. I'm the best at this. Anyone who says that they're the best is kind of blowing smoke up your ass.
Sure. An expert,
yeah. We've done over 11,000 of these shocks. Like, no, you haven't. But like, we'll help each other out. Like, I get calls from my buddy who does trophy truck shocks, who I'm like, this dude is like in a different league. Like if I'm AA, he's major league kind of stuff. And he's like, "How do you build this?" I'm like, "What are you asking?"
Yeah, you're asking me.
Yeah, I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "Well, you do these all the time." I'm like, "Oh yeah, you just do this." He's like, "How'd you know that?" I'm like, "I fucked it up 30 times and figured it out." Yeah, and that's like the great thing about the forums is like everyone in there is like has almost the same mentality of like, well, yeah, you could run this, but my buddy's running this, and this works better, but his also works good, so, pick what you want. Sure. No,
and that's something that I wanted to actually ask you about is, like, I've seen, I think it was probably last year that you were like, hey, I want to make kind of a list of like trusted shock builders and kind of where they're at. And I don't know if I think you started to put it together, but it seems like most of the shock people kind of all talk to each other. Not everybody, but it's like you don't feel like threatened by XYZ company. He's more of an ally.
Yeah,
than,
to an extent.
I mean, obviously you don't want to give a bunch of business away if that's going to take food off of your plate, but it seems like it's a pretty like tight-knit community where everybody kind of wants to help everybody type thing, at least with what I've seen on the forum.
That's pretty much what it is. Like, we'll all help each other out. We're all in the same boat. Like, I have buddies that I call when I'm like, what am I doing? You know, they'll call me and be like, what am I doing? And we'll all help each other out. We're not going to tell each other like every little single detail.
Sure.
But like, I know dudes that were engineers at Fox, and I go, what were you thinking when you designed this? And he goes, XYZ. And I go, fair point.
Sure.
I have other dudes that have, you know, been in the industry for 10 years and they work on, you know, like how we were saying how everyone does their own different tuning. I have like probably 5-6 dudes that I'm decently close with that I've met in person twice, but I've talked to them every day for the last 3 years, where I'll send them a video of a truck and I'll send everyone the same prompt and I say, here is what I see, what do you see? And almost everyone has a different response. Like if Patrick Cox, he has a really cool video where his F-150 is driving head on. And I sent that to like 6 different dudes. I'm like, what do you see? And everyone had a different response. And it was like, oh, it's neat in that way. But it's like, you can't really ask for like no one's like, hey, how do I tune this? Like, you can buy valving stacks from some guys sell valving stacks. I don't. But like, you can be like, hey, I have this and this and this. I'm really good at rebuilding shocks, but the tuning part, it's scary. Like, I didn't tune shocks realistically until like 2 years ago because I was just intimidated by it. And
sure.
Like, other dudes have been doing 8 years. You're going to ask that guy, you know?
Yeah.
You're asking the pro, the guy.
Sure.
So, like, I talk to a lot of guys. Some guys only talk to manufacturers. Some guys only talk to, you know, just other wholesalers at that point. But I try and, like, talk to everyone just because everyone's pretty chill. Like,
yeah.
I remember at the cleanup, we were at the High Des booth with Taylor, and Kevin was there, and who else was there? There was, like, at least 4 or 5, like, really big name dudes in the industry that I looked up to, and I was kind of there like, whoa, this is crazy. And it's
you're
like,
just in the mix.
Yeah, and you're just like, oh, I'm just in here. And it's just, you know, we see trucks drive by, and we'd literally just spit something out and be like, oh, I was thinking the exact same. Because it's weird, because, like, our brains don't work the same, but it's going to get the same end product, if that makes sense. You know? And I was like, this is awful. But the cool thing with that RV, so, like, that's an RV. If you see anyone and their mom with a Sprinter van or a Transit van, that is a commercial vehicle in the state of California. And that means that their registration is about $2,500 to $3,500 a year on that Sprinter van, and their insurance is almost $500 a month. That cost me $500 a year to insure in the state of Arizona, or register in the state of Arizona, and my insurance premium went up $38 a month for full coverage on that. You know why? Because it has a bathroom. That's the only distinguishing difference that the government looks at, is that I can shit in that and they can't shit in a Sprinter van.
Yeah.
And it's a actual $6,000 a year difference.
Yeah, that's huge.
It's crazy.
And then not to mention the cost of that thing versus a freaking Sprinter van. Like, Sprinter vans are, what, like 40, 50? I mean, obviously you can get a used one, but it's going to be a pile.
My one of my vendors out in Vegas, she has a Sprinter that she used to use to deliver, and it was like a pretty decent one. Like, they paid like $80,000 for it or something, and she was like, oh yeah, I blew the turbos, it was $8,000.
Yeah. And
I was like, damn. And like, my whole thought process, I mean, I'm sure you're the same way, my whole thought process is, I can't own it if I can't fix it. So like, that 50 in the back, I could fix the 50. The 450 I bought, I could watch a YouTube video. The 2000 Econoline outside, it's a big V10. I could watch a YouTube video. Someone's had the problem. There's 1.5 million RVs with that
look it up
engine.
on a forum.
Exactly. It's there.
Yep.
And you're just like, oh, perfect. Like, my wife's 4Runner, I could fix, I mean, most of the stuff I could fix on that, it's out there. Like, my whole thing is, like, I don't make enough where I can pay someone to work on my stuff that's really good at their job.
Sure.
And it's better if I just take my time and do it myself than pay someone that's really, really good to do it. Because, like, I paid one dude to work on my Bronco, Facebook Marketplace deal, of course. And it was simple, dude. It was literally, like, radius arms and I can't even remember. It was literally just the one thing that stands out. It was radius arms. It was like a $900 bill. The radius arms of my Bronco are off. Like, on unequal length beam trucks, the radius arms are the same length. On equal length beam trucks, the radius arms are different lengths. I don't know why. I'm not a Ford engineer. I could be just spreading bullshit, but I'm pretty sure that's true from what I've seen and from what I've heard. And, like, I was under my Bronco after I got it back, and I was looking at it, and I'm like, this bolt's here, and this bolt is legitimately 4 inches back. And I'm like, did this dude just, like, go, it's in. Oh, he did a shock tower, too, like a bolt-on shock tower, because I didn't want to clear the body, and I just, like, we were moving out of a house, and I'm like, I need this done tonight or dropped off somewhere tomorrow morning, and I couldn't get it done tonight. And so he was my guy.
Sure.
And, yeah, it was not good. The thing's clapped. But I was like, that's crazy.
Something that you got to redo and fix?
Oh, no, it's going to get ripped off.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm running 1-ton hangers, and you remember National Leaf Springs? I'm running a National Leaf pack off of a Class 2000 truck and a Camberg MIG-welded shackle, and you look at a Bronco, the rear body where the shackle mounts, like, everyone and their mom, unless they do a custom hanger, what's that do with the tan Bronco? Fab Lab. His shit's clean as fuck. His Bronco, or every other Bronco he builds, there's, like, that much gap between the body and the shackle. So what mine will do is the shackle will go back, hit the body, stop, and the spring will just go and stop.
Yeah.
And it's magic how it somehow hits the bump zone of the shock and binds itself at the same exact time and just throws it like that. And that was the whole reason I was going to link, because I didn't want to move my rear hanger down a 1/4 inch. And now I'm going to go back out to Arizona in 2 weeks and move the hanger down a 1/4 inch just so I can drive it while I wait for a 9-inch to pop up.
Got it.
Yeah. Aren't projects fun?
Dude, I just saw it was a post that I think somebody tagged me in it, and it was like, it's some dude, he was like, no more projects. Have you seen that one? It's like, I don't know if he's like English or something, or he's maybe the dude's from like Boston. He's wearing like Canadian tuxedo. He's got like a jean jacket with like ripped off sleeves, and he's like, no more projects. And he's like, unless it's pretty sick, and then maybe one more, but
yeah,
see all these projects, and it's I mean,
he's got a point.
He's got a good point. In the video, he's got like a smoke going, and then like in multiple, it's like a bunch of clips, and he has like 3 smokes going at one point. It's pretty
funny. Yeah, I've seen that dude. And he is like, it's either that guy or the guy with the El Camino, where he's like, it starts with 1 cigarette, and he is like, so I need to take this engine and put it in this car, and then it's 2 cigarettes, and then when we take this engine and get this car, we can move it out of the way and bring this car in and pull that diff and put that in there, and by then he's got like 6 cigarettes in it. I'm like,
dude, it sounds like my life right now with my 4Runner and the mouse and
oh, dude,
life, and yeah, I don't know what I'm doing, and now I'm just shooting a podcast with you. Yeah. And all my buddies are like, how's the progress on the 4Runner motorcycle? I'm like, fuck you guys, dude. I got mountain biking to do. And
no, you're like, I gotta stay in shape. I got a mountain bike. I gotta like focus on it. Like, I have a buddy, Joe, who I met from doing shocks. I bartered with him to get a shock tower for my Bronco from his Bronco, and he started his build before mine, and he's doing a stock length, because it's a Bronco, linked 4.5 over truck, solo cage. It's a really nice truck. Like, he's doing a really good job. He got a trophy truck shock package for $6,000 from some old lady. Yeah, no, he scored. And
Wonder where she got him.
husband divorce.
Oh,
great deal. If you go on Marketplace, just type in divorce.
Just part out the relationship.
Yep,
got
best deals. And every time, like, dude, in the last like 3 months, I'm like, I'll send him like Broncos. I'm like, look at this guy. His shit's running and driving.
Yeah.
What about you? Because he's on year 6 of a build now, but his is sick. He's got like 12 inches of up travel on a stock Bronco that's not back half. Like, that's rare. And
but so you're chirping him about his Bronco.
Yeah, and mine's on jack stands, and like he's starting to clap back now, and I'm
Yeah.
like, fuck, dude, you got a point. I gotta put my shit back together.
Yeah. The best is my buddy Brian that's got that OG Bronco. It's like the 69 Bronco, that gray one that we posted up a little bit. Like, we were
I've
out
seen that, I think, yeah.
And so, dude took 10 years to build his Bronco. And I gave him a fair amount of shit. And now he's just like, every day, he's just like, hey, Elliott, what's up, dude? How's the motor swap? I'm like, I was just in Phoenix. I saw you there. Like, because I was out at that beer league hockey tournament out there. Dude, I don't know how you lived out there in Phoenix. It's so freaking hot.
It's hot. So
it's so hot.
But like, I like it. Like, here's my thing. So like, you know when you drive into Phoenix on the 10? So like, there's that one exit that's a 303 North. So I lived off that exit. So you got to think, when I moved to Phoenix, I went from living with my parents up until 21, like 23, whatever. My wife was just my girlfriend at the time. Our lease was up in Brea. And she was like, what do? We can't afford SoCal. Because I was like, okay, I'm doing shocks, but, you know, shocks don't look really good when you're like, oh yeah, I don't tell people I'm a shock builder when I meet them. I go, oh, I'm an influencer. Or I say I'm a janitor, depending on who it is. And just the look on their face is the best. Like, I did it to my cousin at her wedding party because I hadn't seen her in 3 years. And she's like, oh, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm a janitor. And just like, oh, that's great.
That's
and my
nice.
wife's like, fucking shut up.
Yeah.
He builds shocks and runs a business. Okay, it's easier to explain to janitor, though. But
Sure.
Anyway, you know, we're done in California. Where do we go? Phoenix. First place on your own. I'm sure you remember that. Like, just lived there with my wife. Great time. I proposed to her there. We got married there. Not there, but we got married in Tahoe. But, you know, you come back. It's your place. It's your own place.
It's affordable.
It's affordable. It's affordable. We got our dog. So, like, major life events happen there. And, like, it's weird. Every time I go over the 303 and, like, get to go north, it's like a switch just clicks. I'm like, oh, it's calm. It's just calm. It's just quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know when you like step outside in LA and it's just loud and there's traffic, there's noise, versus you step outside in the hills and just shh. That's exactly what it's like for me when I go to Phoenix, even if it's busy, because my life in SoCal is so crazy with shock work and mobile stuff. It's just like, it's just silent. And I want to go back there because it's just all that cool stuff happened. And like, what I really like is like, if I need to drive to a parts store, I go down one road from my house and then make a left and then I'm there. But on that road down there is just open fields.
Sure.
And it's just calm.
It's desolate.
And it's chill. And you're still in the city. And it's nice for that. The off-roading is not there. Like, Phoenix is very rock crawler side-by-side vibe. It's not go fast, even medium fast pre-runner stuff.
Really? It seems like there should be stuff everywhere out there.
Dude, it is clapped. Unless you're in a side-by-side that's 64 inches wide, it's too wide. All the dudes go out to Parker or they go way east.
Got it.
And like, it's so pretty though. Like, my favorite thing was I put my Bronco together. I just installed a Lawrence that I bought from a dude who's getting a divorce. Divorce sales are the best.
Dude.
So, like, think about this. I just got 3 Gs from a customer for $125, matching set, mint condition, welded onto the stock sliders. The Bronco hasn't ran in a year. Charge the battery, fires right up. GPS works perfectly, getting a great signal. I put my dad in it, and we go 5 miles down a road, open desert, hook a right, and I just see this little like strip, and we go out there, and we're maybe quarter mile off the main road down a fire road, and it's this abandoned Air Force strip. What's next to it? The Ford test track where GM and Ford and Chevy and Toyota test, and we're just ripping up and down this fire road. Got some super sick sunset pics. We cruise back on the fire road. The Bronco's working for the first time. We like go straight. Amazing Mexican food. My dad, Disney adult, doesn't have Mexican food. I gave him like a queso birria taco. Blows his mind. And then we just literally just hop on the main road. 2 miles down, hook a right. 1 mile down, we're back at my house. So that's not the desert's not like, you can't compare Barstow, Lucerne, Johnson Valley. I mean, even I haven't been down to Ocotillo too much, but Ocotillo, not Superstition, but like down there.
Yeah.
All those deserts.
Like Plaster City down there.
That's the word I was looking for. Not even in the same league as Arizona desert. But it's just a different vibe.
Sure.
Like it feels more chill, but it gets hot. You just gotta switch what you do.
Yeah.
Like I tell everyone, they're like, "How do you work on trucks?" I'm like, I don't. I literally tell all my Arizona customers, I'm like, if you do not get in my next trips in a week and a half, I'm like, if you don't have an AC unit and a bay I can work in, you gotta wait. You can go to somewhere else or you can wait. I did one truck in the middle of July and it was 118 degrees. And like, I'm pretty okay with heat. I've worked blue collar jobs in the heat. I went to go put this dude's tire on in the sun at like 1 o'clock on a Tuesday, and like, I'm pretty good at Raptors. Like, I know what I'm doing. The time it took me to tighten down his upper control arm, his steering, his tie rod, and his sway bar. So it's an 18, a 13/16, and a 13/16. You can impact, you tighten this one by hand, you tighten this one with the wrench. My vision was closing in. I was like, I've been in the sun for 2 minutes. This is crazy. I cannot do this. Yeah. And I was just like, that's it after that. I'm like, unless it's like overnights, which those are even worse. Because like, I'd have dudes drop off trucks at 7 o'clock at night. I'd pull all the shocks, and then I'd work till about 3 in the morning, sleep till 6, install the shocks to 6 if the sun's coming up, because it's 90 degrees at 6.
Yeah.
And the truck's gone at 8, and then you just sleep. It's
what a life, dude.
It's fun.
While you're young, I guess, right?
That's my logic. I'm like, so I'll do sprints where it's like when my wife goes to school, because it's a hybrid program for work and school. So she does 7 weeks on a laptop, 1 to 2 weeks in person, where they're doing all the hands-on massage therapy and all that fun stuff. I'll do a sprint. So I'll overbook myself, and customers will be like, oh, what do you do today? I'm like, I did 3 trucks before I got here. I haven't slept in 29 hours. And they're like, do you want to sleep in the guest room? Like, no, I got to finish your truck. And they're like, are you fucking crazy? And I'm like, no, it's just a sprint. I'm like, I just do these things where I'll just work nonstop for 2 weeks to the point where I've literally passed out under customers' trucks in their driveways, and then woken up and been like, okay, we got to tighten this bolt. It's happened before. And I just do that, and I take a week off. And I'm like, I make my money, I knock out, I'm good. I did my job. And that, that's the whole thing. I'm like, I think I'm like 27 or 28. I can do it now. Because like when I have kids and I'm 32, 35.
Yeah, you're not going to want to do
No,
that.
I'm going to want to get home at 6. I'm going to want to not look at my phone. I'm not going to want to think. I'm going to want to be present while I'm there.
Sure. So with, as far as Roth shocks, is your plan to, like, do you have any plans to like get employees and kind of like expand that? Or I mean, right now it sounds like you're just kind of want to do what you can yourself and kind of build the business as much as possible.
Yeah. So like, you remember how we were talking about how like no one's content anymore?
Mm-hmm.
And like, I see that a lot where like off-road shops, they're like, because it's very hard to make money by yourself. Because if one thing goes wrong, you could be stuck on that thing for 3 days. And like, versus another shop could have got that problem figured out with 6 different guys.
Mm-hmm.
And like you need to expand to do more stuff, but like my thing is like every time I'm like, damn, look at XYZ dude, he just got 3 more employees. One of my good buddies up in Utah, he just expanded. He might open another location. He's at 9 employees. He was in his garage 2 years ago. And I'm like, damn, that's crazy. And then I think about what I'm doing. I'm like, damn, I'm a piece of shit. I need to expand. I need to get a shop. I need to do this. And I'm like, I can make more in one day than I did in 2 weeks at a full-time aerospace job working 120 hours a week. And I can be home at 5. All I have to do is stay on top of my shit. And like, I notice, not with everyone, but with some people, like, you ever heard the saying, like, when you take the chef out of the kitchen, the food stops being sweet or it stops tasting good, whatever
Sure.
the saying is. That's kind of my logic. Like, everyone I talk to who's a business owner, where they're under 10 employees, they're like, look, you're going to make a lot of money, like a lot of money. You're going to get a lot of complaints. You can't control people. You got to hope the guys do it right. And it's like, to me, it's like, legitimately, my biggest problem in life right now is making sure this beer stays cold, and that RV, the RV doesn't even, the RV could break down here, and I'd find a rental truck and go do the job tomorrow, because I'm set up that way. Like, I have a very stress-free life, and I get by. I pay my bills. I'm like, what? I don't need a DCB boat. I don't need a Class A that's a 40-foot diesel pusher.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need a big house in like Chino Hills or Yorba Linda. I'm very happy with what I have right now.
Sure.
And like comparatively, like I would need to make like $100 an hour at a company now. I need to make like $75 an hour at a company to like get to where I've worked to be where I am right now. You know? So it's kind of just like, I just don't feel the, and like I have people that help me. I have great people. Like I have Allie. She's like a business consultant, and she's very good at listening to what I need and having a solution that works for me. She's kind of like a shock tuner for businesses, where it's like not everyone has the same approach, because she works with other smaller off-road companies.
Mm-hmm.
And the way she operates for them, night and day difference for what she does with me. But it's like, I have little people like that help with me, you know, where it's like...
With like billing and stuff like that, or...
No, it's more like when I'm working 14 hours a day. So like I wake up at 6, I'll drive to the job at 7. I'm driving, I don't want to be a douche and text on my phone in a 30-foot bus and take out a Prius or, you know, another bus full of kids. I got to get to the job. I can't exactly play on my phone and respond to people. So, like, she's created systems where I can be like, hey, I'll talk to someone with my earbuds in while I'm wrenching on a truck. I'll be like, hey, I'm going to send you this form, fill it out. They'll fill it out. I'll look on my phone in 2 hours. It's added to my calendar. I know where the job is. I know what the truck is. I know what the guys, I quoted him, you know. And, like, other stuff like events. Like, you know, the Clean Desert event.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would say I have a 50% chance of making it to a Clean Desert event, just because, like, I don't think of those until they're there. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Adam's very good at being like, hey, we're 2 months before, are you going to build one of those dumb trophies again? And I go, yes. Or I go, we might use coupons this year, you know? So, like, I have people that help out with stuff like that.
Sure.
And
That's smart.
Yeah, no, you can't do everything. And, like, you got to find out. Like, I'm really good at talking to people and working with people. But, like, she's really good at handling everything that I am not. And,
Sure.
like, I can take my time and do those things, but it's just wasting time, you know?
So, do you have, like, okay, so say for Raptors, you have, like, all the part numbers for certain things, and, you know, shock seals, and for the different shocks, do you have all those, like, on a spreadsheet or something, so you know kind of exactly what you need based off of the vehicle? Like, hey, job tomorrow, it's a second gen Raptor, we're doing all the shocks. Do you kind of have that? Is it just in your head, or do you have it all like
It's
written
in my
down?
head.
You should put it on like a Google Doc or something,
I
and then
should.
just a thought. And I've even thought about that. I was talking to Brandon Miller. We went out to that laser town.
Brandon's the homie.
And he was talking about how it's like car tech. If you look on their website, it's like stuff is like hidden within their website, and if you know how to get to it, you can get to it. But if you're
You gotta
Joe
really
Schmo,
search.
so it's like I've even thought about with guys, like all the information that you have in your head, as far as like the forum goes, like we have the resources, and it's like how cool would it be if it's like here's all for second gen Raptor, here's all the part numbers for to rebuild whatever.
Yeah.
Like it would be cool to obviously do it for yourself, don't do it for the forum necessarily, but just the thought to kind of help your business processes and make things flow better, so you don't have, oh fuck, I didn't remember to get that part, or then you're wasting time looking it up because you can't remember it.
So like the way I'm kind of set up is like the homie Chris, if
that's Shock Seals.
Shock Seals, yeah, he's literally Shock Jesus. Like if you get the chance to talk to him, it will blow your mind. The guy is a wizard. Like, if you've ever seen, like, something where you're like, that is the craziest shit I've ever seen, there's a chance he's worked on those shocks and, like, been the guy that they call. But I've thought about doing stuff like that. With what I do, it's, like, kind of... How do I describe it? You can plan ahead, but you can't plan ahead, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, think of it this way. Like, if this was an auto shop and you had a lift right there and you went, I have... this dude dropping off this truck today. The truck will get here today. You can be like, oh, okay, well, I ordered these parts. We don't need it. Now it's sitting on a shelf. And, like, the cool thing is you have a pallet rack right there. I have a drawer that's about that big by about not even as tall as this that I have to store stuff in. So, like, I have to be very, on my end, I have to be good about asking all the questions to the customer, like if someone's like, oh, my steering's sloppy, well, I usually have to ask them if the steering's sloppy, And then I go, okay, well, it's this part number, and then I'll enter your truck on, like, O'Reilly or AutoZone, and I'll have the customer get the parts beforehand. Because I hate dealing, like, my least favorite part of my job is, like, buying expensive parts for customers. Like, those Devers you saw, I sent out an invoice for those, and, like, I don't make any money on those. I'm the middle guy that picks them up for them. Like, I give them the homie hookup on them. I literally make no profit. And I get yelled at by Allie for that. She's like, you're a fucking idiot. This is part of business. So I'm like, whatever. But if I'm like, hey, this, you can get, the customer will usually get beforehand. And I'll send them part numbers just because it's like, in my mind, I'm like, if the dude tomorrow up in Bakersfield cancels, well, now I have almost $2,000 of his stuff that I am walking over to do other jobs that I can't store at my place. I'd rather just have them get them directly. And then, if they have to cancel for life, they have the parts. And I just go up, everything's there. Everything's already laid out. I show up to the job. I bring my stuff. They bring their stuff. Sure. And then the nice thing is, like, with everything that has lifetime warranties now, it's under their name. So, like, even if I'm, like tomorrow's Tehachapi, possibly going to do an overnight in Bakersfield for a fab shop if the guy DMs me, the dude in Tehachapi, if I get there and his CV's blown, or his upper's blown, I can be like, hey, go get these, it's under their name. Versus, like, it's under my name, I'd have to be the one that goes and pulls it, brings it, does all that stuff. Versus they can go and call their buddy and be like, hey, let's knock this out and drink, like, a 6-pack. They can do it, have a good time, pull it, install it, whatever. And, like,
that makes sense.
And I'll help them, too. Like, I'll gladly, like, if someone's like, hey, my truck's making this, it's making a vibration noise or feel or whatever. It's got a clank or a tang or whatever. I can be like, check this. And usually it's one of those three where I don't have to drive out and be the guy to fix it.
Sure.
So like I'll help people in that sense where it's like, hey, it's this, or like I have a notes app thing where it's like, here are these obscure part numbers where you can only buy from the OE, that's when it gets a little finicky.
Sure.
Where it's like, Ford's the only one making this one shim that kicks at this degree, and there's one in Victorville and there's one in Phoenix, but there's not one down in San Diego where we need it. So it's like, I'll set the truck up so it's the easiest possible install where they're doing the least amount of work, so when they order it on their end, they just have it.
Got it.
Yeah.
No, that's cool.
There's a lot of little nitpicky stuff like that where like guys' trucks just won't talk, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Like, I don't know if there's a lot of swapter guys or swap guys on the forums where it's like, the guys that take F-150s and they bolt on Raptor suspension. A lot of those guys, it's really tricky to deal with them because like, well, first of all, if you have a Gen 2 Raptor, it's 5,600 pounds. You can take the lower control arms and the upper control arms and the steering knuckle and then put it on an 09 through 14 or something like that. And it's just like all the parts don't talk, so you kind of need to be there in person and be like, this is a Gen 1 tie rod, this is a Gen 3 lower, this is a Gen 2 upright, this is a Gen 2 CV, and then this is the aftermarket upright or upper control arm with, this random crazy thing on it. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff where it's like easier just to be in person and be like, hey, we're going to deal with this now versus trying to get people to buy parts.
Yeah.
Because the worst feeling in the world for me, it's when dudes buy parts and I'm like, oh, that's the wrong thing, and they can't return it, and now they're out like $200 because I gave them a 0 instead of a 1. Mm-hmm. It's just.
Yeah, and I wonder, I guess it goes, my thought is, so, Mark April is? He's got a Bronco with, a Godzilla swap, like a white Bronco.
Yeah,
so,
he's got that super sick one where...
Yeah, so he's, I met him, I think I met him before the cleanup. I think I met him at KOH last year, but he's got a mobile RV business. And so he's got, the whole rig, and he, doing some, similar, but RV stuff. And he's just like, yeah, I just keep all the stuff that breaks most often, and he just kind of has it in stock on him. And I'm sure you kind of do that with the uniballs and the small stuff that's
the
easy.
Universal stuff though. It's not like I'm out $3,000 to carry this.
Yeah, and it's each job is going to have a unit, 1-inch uniball, depending on what you're working on, of course. But the standard stuff, I mean, I'm sure you just already have it, shock seals, all that. You just kind of have.
Yep. Yeah, I plan and carry I usually carry at least 2 1-inch and 2 1.5-inch uniballs. Just because dudes will install stuff and they don't know that uniball's a wear item.
Yeah.
So I'll be there at 60K service miles, and they'll be like, how's it look? And I go like that, and I'm like, it shouldn't do that. And they're like, oh, what are we gonna do? And I'm like, I got one in the truck. Guess what? Just give me $2 extra than I paid for it, and it's yours, And then I have the super simple tools where I don't need to pull anything off. It's just
for sure.
And
then you're and so being that guy that you're willing to help and go the extra mile, I'm sure that is a big way you're getting business too, where it's they'll refer a buddy is oh, this guy hooked me up. I'm sure that's how you've grown your business to what it is.
I think most people just think I'm funny.
Yeah, no,
I think that's it too.
Yeah.
Because they just see me and they're like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Especially when I rolled up in the Pilot, they'd be like, oh shit.
This is messed up, dude.
Yeah, this is messed up. And then
it's cool though.
I break out speakers and they're like, oh, we're gonna have a great time today.
This guy's a party. You're a party boy, dude, from Jackass. That's you. You're a party boy. Just show up and you're just got the techno.
I have so many reels that I haven't released where I'm building shocks and Speedos and just having full on raves.
You are an influencer then.
Yeah, no,
just like those girls.
I'm an influencer. Trust me. Oh, dude, I'm gonna show you the next reel once we're done with this. It's so bad. It's the dumbest thing I've ever made, and like I'm gonna I spent $10 on the voiceover for my OnlyFans chick, but I'm gonna spend about $400 marketing it, and it's gonna get shoved down everyone's throat, and they're gonna hate it.
Oh my god.
But it makes me so happy. It's the dumbest thing ever.
Yeah, and it's like, from what I've gathered, like I said, we've been Instagram buddies for 2-3 years. See you post on the forum, and it's like talking to you for what we're at, like an hour or something, almost 2 hours. But it's just like you genuinely enjoy what you're doing, and that's pretty rad.
No, I have the best job in the world. Like what? Like if someone told you when you were in high school that you can go to your buddy's house and they will feed you beers while they're at work and pay you more than you'll make doing any other job not any other job. I know customers that fucking make me look broke. I am broke as shit. But like, I know customers that clear like $500,000 a year, But like, if you were told that you can go to your buddy's house and play with their truck all day and then make it better than it was, and they pay you and you get to go home afterwards, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, why?
No, it's freaking rad, man.
And like when people are like, get a shop, I'm like, that's cool. But 2 days ago, I was working on the actual beach on shocks, and I don't pay rent. I spent $30 to have 12 hours at the beach. Like, you can't get anything for 30. Like, electricity to run a building is $30 a day.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah. No, 100%.
It's crazy.
And so with the Bronco and I mean, it sounds like business wise is just kind of keep doing what you're doing and continue to grow with the social media marketing, and that's kind of the goal there. But what's like off-road goals, and what's kind of next for you as far as what's your goals, let's say in the next year, like get the Bronco going, I guess.
I want the Bronco to be at the cleanup, or at least I want the Bronco to be driving and reliable, where I can get in it in Phoenix and drive it to my in-laws house in Brea in Orange County and just drop it off and just be like, okay, I can turn the key, go out to Lucerne, chase a race, come back and do like a quick bull check. That's the goal for that. Work on my DJ career a little bit, get a few tour dates going, some stuff like that. Do some underground pop-up shows.
DJ career.
Yeah.
Is this like a serious DJ career, or are you just messing around here?
Yes.
Yes. All of the above.
Yeah.
We're not sure if he's serious or not, folks.
No, it's you ever like. So I did one DJ thing for my okay.
So like seriously, you got DJ equipment?
Oh, dude, I was gonna bring it, but I can't physically fit my subwoofer inside my doors.
Oh shit.
So like my wife loves house music. She got me into it. She was like, I want to be a DJ, and I was like, okay, I can do that. I hit up some dude on Marketplace.
Divorce deal.
Yeah, divorce deal. Got a deck. Got some really nice studio monitors, which is just a fancy word for like expensive speakers that you can't take outside. And got some nice headphones. And I was like, oh, this is really fun. And like, dude, 3 beers and like free software, it is the best time you will have. And like, we did my sister-in-law's birthday, and they were like, can you DJ? And I was like, yes.
Duh.
And we took a table from the kitchen, put it out there, put my speakers up and the deck, and had my laptop, and then had Shock Seal's beach towel over it. And like, me and my cousin were just slamming beers for the better part of 6 hours at night with lights, and like everyone, like we were in good.
Yeah.
Everyone was just dancing, and when you're the DJ, people are bringing you food, beer, weed, taco, like it's so much fun.
Dude, you're like Roth Mouse. You've heard of Dead Mouse?
Yeah.
Roth Mouse.
And I had a set of Raptors. I had a set of clapped out Gen 1 shocks. Marketplace. I'm like, I need a sub for this. There was a 18-inch 1200 watt sub. And I was like, trade for Raptor shocks? Yes. Went and picked that shit up immediately. It is the silliest thing. You can, like, I don't think people like 18-inch 1200, like the sub is 3 feet tall by 3 feet wide. Like it's a 3 foot by 3 foot by 3 foot box.
Oh my god.
And I could run it off a Jackery, like a little power supply, for about 2 hours. And like when you put it in there, I had it turned up to half volume and the sub was turned down to -2. And I was just jamming in the back of the truck at like 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. And I come outside and the old elderly neighbor across the street is looking up like this for a helicopter. And it's just me bumping inside the truck.
Dude, who would have known? Who would have guessed? I did not know this from your... I just thought you just had disco lights and
No, dude,
you're really into it.
we throw some really big parties in the back. So like my 1 year plan is I'm going to get, well, I have a 360 cam. I'm going to get someone who's a way better DJ than me. I haven't announced this yet, but there's these two DJs.
No.
Oh, great. There's these two DJs that I love, that they're like small enough where I might be able to afford them. And I've like just DM'd them just bullshit memes and they like them. And I'm like, okay, they're kind of matching my energy.
Dude. That's how you get them.
I want to do a booth at the sand show, like in the very back corner where they do all the trucks and shit. Just have the RV, put these guys in the roof, and just have them do like a pop-up set and see how long until we get kicked out. Because like they're really, really, really good DJs. And I'm like, that would be the most fun thing instead of being like, hi, my name's Brandon. Here's a business card. You should get your shocks serviced. Here's a party. We're going to get shut down in 33 minutes. There's a keg inside, you know? I just feel like that'd be so much fun.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be a total waste of about $3,000, but, like, that'd be so cool.
You can't take it with you, dude.
You can't.
When you're
Yeah.
gone, just send it.
I mean, I hopefully have a few more years to take it with me.
Yeah,
but like,
of course.
But, like, imagine, like, you know, you're walking through the sand show. You're like, oh, look at LED whips. Oh, a train. Whoa, is that a razor? That's crazy. And you wrapped it a different color.
And you're like, what is that noise?
Yeah, and you're like, what's
You're getting
thumping
booted off
over?
the island, dude.
Oh, yeah,
you're
no, they
getting
kicked
just
me out
folded up.
immediately.
Yeah.
But, like, dude, bring it to the parking lot.
So you're like a shock wizard raver DJ guy.
Yeah, I really like house music, like a
Okay.
lot. Like,
Okay.
so, like, if you ever see me post and I'm just drenched in sweat and I say that was a crazy set, what I'll do is I'll play a DJ set for about, usually they're about 90 minutes to about 2 hours. And I have my little baby speakers in there right now, but they're loud enough where if, you know, they were on the other side of the buildings out here, you would hear them inside here and you'd be like, what the fuck is going on? And like, I'll just lock in and I'll just grind through shocks. And I have GoPro footages, I just never released it.
Yeah.
But like, it's...
You don't want anyone to know.
No, well, I don't care. I do it in front of the customers, and they're like, yeah, we heard you inside our building. We had a great time, so we came out, too, to watch. And I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Do it. It's fun. But, like, the heart rate that I sustain while doing it is gnarly. Like, imagine holding 140 to 150 beats per minute for about 2.5 hours straight in a 6x9 box building shocks. Like, you know, you're just pulling stuff apart.
Yeah.
But I'm moving so fast. It's really fun. That's why I'm like, everyone who's like, they see me do it, they're like, I get why you don't have a real job.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, why would I want a real job? But like at SpaceX, we used to do the same thing.
Oh,
so
really?
like when
That was okay there.
yeah,
Elon was cool with it?
yeah, I met him.
Oh, really?
I flew on his jet out to Texas.
No way.
Yeah, they
Was
posted
he
a
cool?
thing. Oh yeah, scary dude.
He seems like he would be.
He's intimidating at first, but like, so they posted a thing and they're like, hey, we need welders back in like 2020 or whatever. And I was like, I'm a welder. I'm not. But they were like, cool, be at Hawthorne Airport in about 3 hours. And I was like, fuck. Jammed home, got closed, jammed back out there, got to the airport. And we're like just chilling there with like me and a bunch of other Mexican dudes. I'm the only white guy there. And they're all welders, like actually good welders, like really good stainless steel, like Inconel TIG welders. And we're like waiting and we're like, okay, is there going to be like a jet that pulls up, like a 737, Airbus, whatever? No, this G6 rolls up and like a red carpet comes out. And we're like, nah. Because these are like single cab Silverado Mexican dudes. And like we were like, what's happening? And this assistant comes up and we sign an NDA, and I can't tell you why we signed the NDA, but like we're like, whatever. We get on the jet, we fly straight out to Boca Chica, Texas, or Brownsville technically, and we're in Elon's G6, and we're like, this is the craziest thing. And we get dropped off, and this other dude flew in, and he was just random old dude, kind of like my dad. We were just talking. He was the lead machinist for PPI back when Ivan Stewart was racing with them.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and I was like, how the fuck? This is such a small world. Anyway, we got a rental car. We drove to the place, dropped him off, and we were just working out in Brownsville before it was like incorporated, and it was like really ghetto SpaceX, because SpaceX is like the top of the top of the top. And when they were doing Starship, they were like, weld this ball together, we're gonna blow it up and see what happens. And we're like, okay, boss. And I remember it was like clear as day too. It was really funny. We were like inside there, and I was just back purging all these things for these dudes, for like the actual good welders. And we see 3 black Teslas pull up, and we're like, oh, that's not good. And we see Elon get out of the middle one, and then just security guards get out of the other ones. And he walks in, and it's me and a crew of 8, and we're the only ones in this big hangar. And he pulls us in, and like the distance from me to you is Elon. And this is right when he went from like, I'm the 25th richest guy in the world to I am the richest guy in the world by a massive margin.
Yeah.
And like, dude, white as a ghost. We were all terrified, and we're like, I'm gonna get fired. I'm gonna get fired. I'm gonna get fired. And he's just like looking at us. He's like, hey guys. So like, you know how he talks on Rogan?
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Crazy. And
It's like a robot.
yeah, like a robot. Like he really thinks about what he's saying, and he's like,
That was something that, so like, I listened to a couple of his podcasts just on Rogan, and I was always like, it just is like awkward pauses.
Yep.
Like, while we've done this whole podcast, there hasn't really been, other than the camera ding, we're kind of both like, but it's like pretty back and forth. And so I was like, I gotta like watch him. And that was kind of when I got into watching podcasts, and I was like, dude, it's so weird to like see him thinking.
You see, because he thinks, like, he's really thinking out. Like, it's not like he's just thinking about one thing. He's got 30 things going on. He's like, this is the one.
Yeah.
But like,
something that I need to incorporate probably into my own life, because I just talk like an idiot a lot.
oh, I do that too. My wife's like, you really need to filter what you say. And I'm like, I wish I could.
Yeah.
But like,
super interesting though.
yeah, but we were out there, and we were just like, and he's like, so how are we doing today, guys? You know, how's Starship going? Something like that. And I don't remember what the intro was, but he could tell we were just like scared shitless, and he was like, let's get fucking excited. And we were just like, he said, like, everyone actually said he said fuck, and we got so fired up, and like just productivity shot up like 200%. After he said that, and like it was crazy.
It's like a Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, exactly like that scene where he chucks a Rolex, and we were like, "This is the craziest thing that's ever happened to us."
That's gnarly.
And yeah, and like I don't remember the rest of that, but like he took off to go yell at some engineers, and like we did our job. And I remember I went to go. The cool thing about SpaceX out there is like they had monsters on tap. Like it was like a 7-Eleven in the break room. It was amazing. And like I went in there and I was just putting back like 4 low carb monsters a day. And I went in there to grab one, and I shut the door, and he's right behind it staring at me like closer than we are. And I about shit my pants.
You're like, oh my god.
Yeah, I was like, like speechless, and I just about face and out. And I was like, that was the scariest moment of my life. But like I remember too on the plane, like everyone was like, are there drugs here? Are there drugs? And like spotless. It was crazy, but
that's wild. Man.
Oh, I remember we asked him, we were like, so what would you do if you weren't doing this? And he was 100% genuine. He had to stop and think about it. And he was like, if I wasn't doing this, I'd probably have like a little Airstream trailer, an apartment, and I'd just be playing old video games all day. And like straight up, like no bullshit. Like there wasn't like I'd be running another business. He was just like that is what he would do. And when he was out there, he stayed in a little like mobile home, maybe 300 square feet. And like everyone else was in I was in a nicer place than him.
That's bizarre.
Yeah.
What a weird dude.
No, weirdest dude you'll ever see. But like the stories you hear about him, like back from our managers, like say for example we had 20 parts that needed to be machined in 10 days, and like realistically it's like a day apart. Managers would be like, he'd go like, hey guys, we need this done, see you later. And like if someone was like, oh, dude, we can't do this, he would pull that dude aside and be like, look, if you can't do this, we'll fucking find someone else who will. And just like the fear of God in these guys. And like the ones that couldn't do it, you never saw them again.
Yeah.
Just the crazy, and like he doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
He's just like, if you can't do the job, I will find someone, because they get 10,000 applicants a day. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's wild, man.
Yeah, that was one of the fun jobs. We had such a good time there. Like the crew was so tight knit that we would just have like, we do sprints kind of like what I do now, but like it would be 12s on 12s on 12, so we do 60-hour weeks, and like the final assembly guys were all under really big house music, and we would just bump like, dude, 200 feet away, it would sound like you were standing next to the speaker, and like other departments would be like, hey, shut the fuck up, and we'd be like, hey, we're the important ones here, guys. Like if this doesn't get done, we're all fucked. And they're like, that's fair, do your job.
Yeah.
And like, dude, we got
so I guess like what caused you to just wanting to do your own thing? Like it wasn't bringing you joy as far as you said with like you just wanted to make more so you could kind of build the Broncos while you bailed from that?
it went like, I need to make more money to build a Bronco. Then it went like, I don't really care about the money. I like what I'm doing. And then I was like, very fine. Like I've applied to go back to work with that same crew again, that I liked it so much. I remember I was like, I had to pull my manager aside, and I was actually tearing up putting in my notice because I loved working with that crew so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, I was straight up like, this is the only time in my life where I have such little overhead and like responsibilities as far as like wife, kids, mortgage, insurance, all this stuff, that I can do this, where if I fail, it's not a big hit, you know, versus like if you're 35, you have a stable job, you have kids, a wife, a mortgage, a truck payment, like people depend on you to get that steady paycheck. You kind of can't really go, okay, I'm going to make the jump.
Yeah.
Or it's a lot harder. And like even making the jump from like part-time shop guy, full-time SpaceX to like full-time shop guy, no SpaceX, was super hard. Like I stacked my benefits and did all that and got paid out decently with like overtime and stuff like that. Or not overtime, but PTO. But like just making that jump was like so crazy.
Yeah,
it was like, that's
fucking wild, man. And you know, props for you to kind of following your heart. And I mean, for anybody young listening, or even not young, if you don't like what you're doing, life's pretty short. So
yeah, and like I didn't know this dude yet, but my buddy Robert out in Vegas, he is a paraplegic. He's like nipple down, but he's like one of the best shock builders I know, and his whole thing is like, life's short, just do it. He races best in the desert in the 1900 class. He's got a brand new Pro R. He used to race dirt bikes and be like really fast, and just had a gnarly accident and just spine just got ka-chowed and took out his he'd have to tell the story, but like essentially here down, and like from day one his whole thing was like, fuck it, life's short, I'm gonna do what I do.
No, it's true.
Yeah, I mean like you can't, like I was thinking, I'm like, if I always like, it's bad to think, but like if I, like you said, if, you know, we get taken out by a semi truck on the way there, I'm like, I had a good life. I did everything I like, not everything I wanted, but like I'm happy with what I've done and like all that fun stuff, you know, like tomorrow, like how many people are going to drive up, I mean it's Bakersfield, but how many people are going to drive up to a gated community in the hills and go install shocks on this dude's truck and install devers, and then go up to Bakersfield and meet with another really high-end fab shop and do his stuff, and then drive back home and watch Outdoors on Saturday. Not a lot of people get to do that, so I'm really grateful that I can.
Sure. No, it's cool that you're chasing your dream doing that, and you know, hope you keep up the good work for sure.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I mean, like worst case, you know, it just
I mean, you
takes a shit, and I just still have an RV at the end of the day. That was my whole logic with the RV. I'm like, if the business fails, I get a day job. I live with my in-laws. I have an RV. We can go camping. We can do all this fun stuff. I still have my Bronco. I have the Bug that we haven't even talked about. That's going to be a rally car build. You know, I have all this stuff that I'm just like, I'm chilling with this.
Yep.
I own it. It's mine, you know? So I can, right now, I can experiment and fuck up and be fine.
Totally.
Like, I can make a bad investment and be like, whatever. Just got to work a little harder to make it back.
Yeah. No, that's a good outlook for sure. But right on. Well, thanks for coming by, and we hope to see you out in the desert in the Bronco soon.
I'll be around.
Get some trails going. Maybe make it out on a form run.
That's one of the goals. Make it out. I want to do the Mojave Road bad. I've never done it, and it's been on my bucket list for like 6 years now. I just never got the chance.
It's fucking epic. You go through sand, you go through rocks, you know, you go through giant Joshua tree forests, lava tubes, all that. It's freaking awesome.
You got to look up, I want to say it's called Rage to the River.
Okay.
Chris from Shock Seals puts it on. I think the last year.
Yeah, I've seen them do that.
Yeah, it's always like the biggest go fast trucks, and you're just like, oh, they just did a 70-mile-an-hour average out to the Avi. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, and what's so cool about the Mojave Road is, like, you know, you can do it in, you know, 4 or 5 hours just bombing it, and then you could take 3 days checking out all the cool spots and, you know, camping along the way in cool campsites. And, I mean, I think somewhere in the middle, like, you know, maybe spend a day or two, like, actually stopping at the sites. And I mean, I don't know if you've done any research on, basically that was the main drag before they built the railroad. That was from, boats would come up the Colorado River to Needles, and then that was like the main wagon trail that would go to LA.
That's crazy when you think about it.
And you do, you know, there's all these like different forts that were along the way. There's like, you know, all kinds of different history. And it's like, if you kind of do a deep dive, it's like, yeah, it's like smash some whoops and there's some cool little jumps and that's cool. But then you do a deep dive into the history of a lot of places, and like out in Arizona too, like there's so much rad mines and all this cool stuff that you can go check out. And that's like why I have the Mouse and the trips that we've done, and, you know, like your Bronco is perfect for that. It's like, it's not fast, but it can cruise at a decent spot to go check out this cool stuff.
Yeah, that's one of my other bucket list trip is start in San Diego, buy like 3 or 4 XR650s or KLRs or whatever, you know, big 650s, and then cruise San Diego all the way up to Reno and go like as much mountain as you can from the Bishop, Independence, Lone Pine area. Because like every time I go camping up there in the spring, every time, without fail, at the bar, the like last few days there's closing, there's 8 to 10 dads on like KTM's, the kickstands, full gear, chugging 805, just talking about all the crazy stuff they saw, and I'm like, damn, I could do that for like 3K.
Yeah.
You know, it's just the crazy, it's just, there's so much cool stuff that you can just go easily explore.
Yep.
You know?
100%. And that's like a big part of, you know, what, like our DMC group, I don't know if you've followed that at all, but that's like what we've been doing the last, you know, decade and a half. And I mean, we did, I think it was like podcast 6, we talk about that, but it's like, there's a lot of guys that are just about to go fast, and then there's the overland that's like the slow and have all the camping gear, and then, you know, they check out cool stuff, but then, you know, there's this kind of mix that we're in pre-runners, and we have all the camping gear, but we're also, you know, hauling the mail to all this cool stuff. And
it's just how much can you see in like what, because, you know, not every, like I can realistically be like, I'm not gonna work for 3 weeks, and I can get by. Not a lot, like most people get maybe 2 weeks off a year, so you got to really make that count. So that's where like the pre-lander stuff is like, oh yeah, we're gonna rip out and back real quick.
Yep.
And you're gonna see, you know, 200 more miles than the dude doing 25 in a Tacoma aired down to 15 psi.
Yeah, and it's kind of, I mean, don't get me wrong, you know, it's kind of it's all a matter of perspective, but I've driven my Tundra and, you know, in Glamis or, you know, through the whoops. It's miserable compared to driving the pre-runner.
It's not the same.
You know, and I'm not even talking about going fast, but just comfortably cruising. You just feel like you're kicking the shit out of the vehicle.
Yeah, you're just like, oh God, I got to take this to work tomorrow. Fuck, please make it down the freeway.
Exactly. Right on, dude. Well, thanks for coming out, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Cheers.